other surveys?
Please leave it open. Okay, yeah, sorry, this is.
Somebody else.
Yep, yep,
Okay.
we'll lock it up.
Okay,
when we're done.
just wanted to
Thank
be
you.
sure.
Yeah, certainly don't want to not accommodate that if we can, but I don't know.
Must have to check into that. It's official, like a citizen survey, this might be language option for that.
Esther's the one that deals with all of that.
This is the one that's a long survey, it's 20 pages.
I mean, she's just the one that deals with if we've got any kind of somebody who needs help with Spanish. I mean, I know we did some of our noticing with South Shore Village, but that's different than taking a survey. That's just a,
Yeah, and then it was kind of like, hey, if you want to come to the meeting and you need translation assistance, let us know ahead of time, and we can have somebody there
yeah.
to provide those services. But we'll up that
Yeah.
funds on this for. But I don't know if we have the budget for that.
Yeah, 'cause that could, I mean, if you had to do a whole duplicate thing, that could blow that right up. Yeah. Yeah.
I was waiting for you to
I,
kind of like.
Mallory and I were getting, we came down here, we were getting ready, and I could certainly feel it then, but obviously with the activity, that has helped. Yeah.
You feeling pain? You all right?
So my daughter is a senior at MSU, and so I was telling Mark, I was like, last night was a really long night, and I just did not sleep well at all. Yeah. So she was home, she was in one of the buildings about 30 minutes beforehand.
All of my daughter's classes are at Berkeley.
Really?
All off campus.
Yeah, same here, yep. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Well, and some of the students that were there.
That's what I'm saying, is this, the one that's senior youth foundation, the guy ran right past my son's apartment there.
Mm.
Pictures out the window of the special forces, like the SWAT guys, walking right outside the front door, keep your head down.
Scary, scary, scary.
On that note,
Let's do it, let's get started.
let's start our meeting here on February 14. Happy Valentine's Day 2023. It is 5:02. I need approval of the minutes for the January 10, 2023 regular meeting.
So moved. Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Nobody's opposed. Fantastic. Communications from the audience for items that are not listed as a public hearing on the agenda. Can come forward at this time. None. New business. Planning Commission bylaws and rules of procedure is the first item.
Thank you. So it is February, time to review our bylaws. So that is what you guys have in front of you tonight. And I gave you several attachments, a section of the City Code of Ordinances, as well as a excerpt from the Planning Enabling Act, just to kind of close the circle on really the second item in my memo, which is we had talked about the term limits for the Planning Commission, and I told you that the term limits, we didn't have any language in any kind of ordinance or policy document from the city. We didn't find it anywhere other than how we advertise for the Planning Commission. We advertise in that boards, commissions, and committee list that the Planning Commission has a limit of 2 terms. So 2 3-year terms. And so we just haven't been able to find anything that sort of shows that that's an official, ordinance or anything. So did ask the city attorney as well, his opinion on that, and he really expressed the opinion that the way the planning enabling legislation is written, that's really up to the mayor and the city council to make those appointments and to ratify those appointments, that there is no limit on those. Again, it's my understanding that limitation, that we have done that for 20 plus years. But in terms of my idea, of course, was to formalize it by, hey, if that's what we're doing, let's put it into our ordinance. And really, I guess at the end of the day, it's really the opposite that's really happening here, that since we don't have any kind of official adoption of some ordinance or policy and our city attorney opinion, that really we thought it would be best just to take that term limit out of that boards and commission list. So I guess in terms of our review of our bylaws, not asking you to do anything with that, but I guess I wanted to close the loop from our last conversation on that. Does that make sense?
Do we have that on the list of commissions only for the planning commission, or is it for all of them?
Yeah, so I gave you that list. You should have that whole document of all 28 boards, commissions, and committees. So it's kind of a mixed bag, to answer your question. For the planning commission, it's a little bit different just because we have some of that planning enabling legislation that does talk about terms, but it does not refer to term limits. And again, it's just been our practice of how we've handled the appointments to the planning commission. But to make sure it was clear, we thought it would be best to just eliminate it off of that list. But this is not and I don't think it's really the planning commission's duty to kind of look at that whole list. I guess we have informed the city manager of it, so he's kind of aware of the bigger question, I think, that you're asking, Brooke, but we're just dealing with the planning
Okay.
commission.
And just kind of for some broader perspective, City Council just went through a review of the boards, committees, and commissions a year and a half, 2 years ago. Started it pre-COVID and kind of finished it post-COVID, and looked through and to see what kind of streamlining we could do and make some efficiencies here. And I think as a process, we removed one board, committee, and commission from the 29 that we had, removed them down to 28. So that was a real exercise in streamlining government as far as I was concerned. I was part of that group that made that recommendation. But we didn't talk specifically about term limits for particular groups because each of these groups tends to have their own either city ordinance that backs them up or their own founding documents that back them up. And so based on what you just said, Steve, I think there are two things that we need to do. I think, I completely agree that we ought to take that term limit thing off of this kind of advertising list so that people understand it, because this is what people are looking to when they're going, are people term limited or not term limited? And if they're not, if there's not a basis for it, there's not a rule. If there's not a rule, there's not a rule, and apparently there isn't one here. And so we ought to take that term limit language out of here. That's one. Item two, I think, would be whether or not the planning commission wants to make a recommendation to council whether there should be term limits or not. I don't have a dog in that fight one way or the other than I'm the guy that makes the appointments. But maybe that's a suggestion that planning commission wants to make. Maybe planning commission goes, no, we're good. Now that we realize we don't have term limits, we're good with that. I tend to just not be a big fan of term limits in a lot of places anyway. I don't think they're great in the elective process. I feel like it's, please don't make me vote for this person again, is really the reason for term limits that are out there. People ought to be able to have the ability, I think, if they've got good people representing them, to continue to have those good people representing them. And yes, I'm currently sitting in the mayor's seat, but I think it's the responsibility of the mayor to keep an eye on who is serving well in a particular position and whether somebody's term limited out or not. If the mayor doesn't think that that person ought to continue on in that position, the mayor doesn't have to reappoint him. And if the mayor reappoints somebody that city council doesn't approve, city council does not have to approve that appointment. So I think personally, I'm fine with there not being term limits here, but, you know, I'm just one person talking.
I'll just chime in if I may, just in regards to that. From staff, from my perspective, the one thing that I like about the term limit is it creates a little bit of turnover to help educate people about planning and how it works, and so it kind of creates that turnover a little bit. And I also think it does, by having a term limit, it allows people to, as you said, sort of see that there's going to be somebody, that there's going to be an opening, and I'll apply because I see that there's going to be an opening, rather than you don't know. So I know it kind of cuts all different ways. If I were to fall on one side of the fence, I would probably fall on the side of the fence of having them, just to be able to get more people involved in the process, and to kind of show transparency, to say, hey, there's going to be an opening. So if that helps. But it does seem like it's a bigger topic of kind of telling the planning commission, whether it's just the planning commission or the board of appeals or whoever else, are we doing term limits or not? It's
I personally could go either way. I don't know if we have a long waiting list of volunteers that are waiting to get onto the planning commission right now.
I don't know that either.
Don't, okay. But, no, Mallory? No, okay.
Don't hold your breath.
I would say the one thing that because I'm kind of on the fence too a little bit, just looking at, term on our website, we would basically have 3 members that would be off at the next term essentially, and then another 3 members that would be off. So like, it does feel like there's potential chunks of people that could be leaving in gaps that we might have on our team. So that would be a consideration as well, to think about how we, continue to evolve the commission.
Because you want to have a full body, if
Yeah,
possible.
right.
Almost all the time, so.
And we wouldn't want to have massive turnover on a yearly
Right.
basis or in certain points of time.
Right.
I would say it takes a couple of years to really get your feet wet and to know,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and that's why you can't be the chairperson in the first year.
Right, yeah, that's why
Just
we have that on
reason,
there.
but- so, yeah, I could go either way. It seems like it's about 10 years ago when the first time I heard the word term limits was when we established the Neighborhood Improvement Committee. Because prior to that, if you were willing to serve, you were accepted. And I'm thinking, after having been the chair of the R Street Committee for about 15 years,
That commission has evolved over time, right? That's a whole different thing too. What do you need from us, Steve?
Yeah, maybe just your blessing to, we'll let the manager's office know that we'll take it off of the boards and commissions list.
Okay. I think,
and leave it
do
to
you
city
want us to vote on this? Is this something you want us to vote on or recommend?
It would be nice to vote on it,
Okay,
if you
why
don't
don't you,
mind.
okay, why don't we do a roll call then, Mallory, okay?
Do you want a motion?
I'm sorry.
No. I move we inform the city manager's office that we do not believe that we have term limits for the planning commission, and that language be removed from the city's board, committees, and commissions in city structure document.
Support.
All right.
All right. Box,
Yes.
DeBlock,
Yes.
Orm,
Yes.
Lozano,
Yes.
Bosch,
Yes.
and Genova left. Anderson.
Yes,
All right. Motion to approve or recommend passes.
okay.
Thank you. Just one other thing in that memo was really just me trying to highlight a couple sections that I like to remind people about. The voting section. So you are a group of 9. We can have 5 as a quorum to do our business. The voting allows for you to pass of the majority of those present. So if you had 5 people, you can pass things at 3-2, doesn't have to be 5-0. So just a reminder of that. Ex parte communications, I guess I always like to remind everybody of that, and I know you get asked, you know, when you're at the grocery store or wherever, about certain things. I always have kind of suggested this is also a tool so you could politely tell somebody, I'm sorry, I, you know, need to talk about that at the planning commission meeting. So, just a reminder of those rules as well. And if you do have those conversations, you know, then you report it back, when you're here at the planning commission. We understand that those things are gonna happen, but just a reminder of that, as well as the conflict of interest. So I guess those are just 3 areas of your bylaws that I like to point out and remind. But,
It's a good thing to do annually.
yeah.
Thanks, Steve.
So with that, the only other item is for you to elect officers.
So the next item under new business is the election of officers, the chair, the vice chair, and the secretary. Who currently is the secretary?
Jennifer.
And she's not here.
The other Jennifer.
The other
The other
Jennifer.
Jennifer. So you're all eligible to be officers, with the exception of the mayor and Lynn Raymond as city council members. They're not. Everybody else has served on the commission for at least a year, so you are all eligible. And I guess without term limits, Dave DeBlock won't term limit out in June. Maybe, maybe not, I don't know, but,
So those dates are kind of,
so you, everybody's up, and of course you can reelect the people that are
Right.
serving, so. It's up to you.
I nominate Brooke as chair.
I'd support that,
I wasn't here, you'd do it anyway, wouldn't you?
that especially.
Why can't you pick on someone who's not here? No, okay. I nominate Luis as vice chair.
Do we want to finish the?
Sorry.
Let's do one at a time.
Oh, okay,
Let's do
fine.
one at a time.
Any other nominations for chair? No?
I move we close nominations for chair.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Okay.
So did we just vote to make you chair, or did we just vote to close nominations?
We voted, what? Was Mallory keeping track?
we
Please
could
tell me
affirm
Mallory
that.
was
We
keeping
could
track.
affirm
Let's
that.
affirm the vote for Brooke for chair.
Okay.
Say yes.
All those in favor for chair?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? None. Okay.
Want to make that complete?
We're closing that one now.
Yep.
Now it's for vice chair.
I nominate Nate Bosch as vice chair.
Aha.
I'd support that.
I was gonna nominate Luis Lozano
You still can.
as vice chair,
You still can.
but you can turn it down, right? Anybody who doesn't really want to, because I didn't actually talk to him about it beforehand, so. I didn't warn him I was doing that, but I don't know if you're supposed to or not,
The
but.
last time I was being considered, someone asked me ahead of time.
I didn't ask Brooke.
No, that's true, you did not.
But she didn't turn it down.
Any discussion?
Or turn it down?
No.
Okay.
Did he turn it down?
That's what I asked.
Should we just ask
No,
him?
you took it?
Luis, did you turn it down?
I know, right? No?
Okay.
We're gonna go head to head. How are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Well, what's,
Now, okay, Brooke, what are you doing next?
So I move we close nominations for vice chair.
Okay. Support from Dave.
Okay. So my recommendation would be have Mallory call the roll, and rather than voting yea or nay, you say the name of the person that you would like to have as vice chair.
Okay.
will the nominees
That sound
abstain?
Yeah, we just
The
abstained.
nominees abstain, right?
Thank you. Well. doesn't-
No, I think you can vote for
You can
yourself,
vote for yourself, or you
honestly.
can vote for the other one.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you choose
Is
to
that
vote for the
polite-
other, so yeah.
polite thing to do?
Yeah.
All right, Mallory, you're gonna do a roll call, and we're gonna say who we pick for vice chair.
Okay. Give me 1 second so I don't say the names people aren't here. Okay. Orm. Oh, I'm first.
Where's that quarter? Just I vote for, is that?
Either one, either
Either
way.
one.
So
Yep.
Bosch or
And we do it
Lozano
every
are the
year,
two
so,
options.
yep.
Okay.
Bosch.
Okay. DeBlock.
Nate,
Alright. Box.
I think they'd both be great at the job, but I nominated Nate, so Nate.
You're gonna stick with it, right? Okay.
Next time.
Lozano.
I hit one in there,
And Bosch.
I guess I'll vote for myself.
And Anderson.
Lozano.
Alright, so it is 1, 2, 3, 4 for Bosch and 2 for Lozano.
All right.
So Bosch is your new vice chair.
Congratulations to both.
All right. And moving, we're good there, right? All right. And then moving on to secretary. Now, secretary's position, just to lay that out, if the chair and the vice chair are not present, they would then would chair the meeting.
exactly.
They don't take notes for Mallory if she's not here.
That's true.
The meeting just doesn't happen if Mallory's not here.
This is true too.
Or Mark steps up, right, Mark? Okay,
I can do it in a pinch.
yes.
I nominate Luis Lozano as secretary.
There we go.
I'd
All
support
right,
that.
Nate, we gotta bail someday, so then he can step up on here.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. All right, sounds good. Any other nominations for secretary?
Move we close nominations.
All right, so I need support for that.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. All right, and then,
Actually do a vote on.
yeah, we have to do a vote. A roll call?
Alright.
No, it
Box.
doesn't have to, but I can call
Yes.
if I want to.
Lozano.
Yes.
Orm.
Yes.
Bosch.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Alright, Luis Lozano is your new secretary.
All right.
DeBlock, did you get Dave's
Did I
vote on that one?
Sorry,
Did I vote?
Dave. I'm all thrown off my roll call sheet with these names here tonight. DeBlock.
Yes.
There we go.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you very much for that. I will send a gift to you all later. Communications and petitions, scheduling of public hearings. There are none.
No.
Communications from commission members.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
And congratulations to our new officers, and thank you for your willingness to serve.
Mhm.
Yes.
And communications from staff.
Just one thing to highlight, it's probably a little bit hard to catch on the agenda, but we did add under this communications and petitions, the administrative site plan reviews. So we do have a little line item in there that's where we will report to you if we have some. We don't have any to report this month, but based on our earlier conversations, we thought we would have that in there so we could let you guys know if we've got a project or not.
Thanks for that. All right, I need a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Anyone